You say you want to be rich, but the truth is most people will never be rich. Do you know why? Because their mind is already poor before their pocket is. They dream of success, but they think with fear. They wish for wealth, but they plan with doubt, and if your thinking is small, your life will always stay small. When I started Alibaba, I was not the smartest man in the room. In fact, I failed many times in school, I failed in business, and I failed in job interviews. But I understood one thing very clearly: the biggest poverty is not in your bank account, it is in your head. If you wake up every day telling yourself, "It's too hard, it's impossible, I can't do it," then you have already lost before the game even begins. You cannot get rich if you keep thinking like the poor, who only see problems and never see opportunities. Richness starts with courage. Courage to try, courage to be laughed at, courage to face rejection. When I told people about the internet in China in the early days, they laughed at me. They said, "Jack, you don't know anything about technology, you don't even know how to code. How can you build an internet company?" But I told myself, if I don't try, I have nothing. If I try and fail, I at least learn. That is the thinking of wealth. Rich thinking is not about the money you have today, it is about the vision you hold for tomorrow. Most people want quick success. They want to get rich overnight. They want to win without sacrifice. But wealth does not grow in the soil of laziness. Wealth grows in the soil of persistence, discipline, and long-term vision. When you complain, when you blame, when you keep comparing yourself to others, you are wasting the energy that could build your own future. Stop asking, "Why don't I have what others have?" And start asking, "What can I create that others cannot?" Remember this: poor thinking says, "I need money to make money." Rich thinking says, "I need ideas, creativity, and people to make money." Poor thinking looks for safety, rich thinking looks for growth. Poor thinking says, "What if I fail?" Rich thinking says, "What if I learn?" The truth is, failure is the tuition fee you must pay for success. Every rejection, every mistake, every setback is not the end. It is the lesson that prepares you for the future. If you want to be rich, you must first train your mind to think rich. Think bigger than your fears, dream longer than your doubts, and work harder than your excuses. Don't just look for opportunities, create them. Don't just wish for success, prepare for it. The future does not belong to those who wait. It belongs to those who act, those who dare, those who never give up. So I ask you today, will you keep thinking like the poor, waiting for luck, waiting for someone to save you? Or will you think like the rich, take responsibility, take risks, and take action? The choice is yours. Because the truth is simple. Your mind is either your greatest asset or your greatest poverty. Change your thinking, and you will change your future. Most people believe that poverty is about not having money, but the truth is that poverty begins long before money is ever involved. Poverty starts in the mind. When your thoughts are full of fear, doubt, excuses, and limitations, you are already poor, no matter how much you have in your bank account. The world is filled with people who are talented, capable, and hardworking, yet they remain stuck in the same place for years because their thinking keeps them trapped. They tell themselves it is too risky to start something new, too late to try, too hard to succeed. They imagine failure before they even begin, and so they never take the first step. This is the real poverty. When you think small, your life becomes small. When you only see problems, you miss the opportunities hiding behind them. A person with a poor mindset says, "I cannot afford it. I do not have the resources. I am not smart enough." A person with a rich mindset asks, "How can I make it possible? What resources can I create? Who can I learn from?" The difference between these two ways of thinking is the difference between staying where you are and creating a new future. Money follows people who solve problems, not people who only complain about them. If your thoughts are focused on limits, you will always remain limited. Think about this: two people can look at the same situation and see two different worlds. One sees danger, the other sees opportunity. One sees an obstacle, the other sees a chance to grow. One sees nothing but difficulty, the other sees a lesson that can be turned into wealth. It is not the world that makes them different, it is their mindset. The rich are not just people with money, they are people with the ability to think differently, to believe in possibility, and to create value where others see nothing. When I was young, I failed many times, but what truly saved me was not money. It was the belief that I could change my situation by changing my thinking. If I had accepted the poor mindset, I would have given up after my first rejection. I would have quit after my first business idea failed, but I refused to let failure define me. Instead of thinking, I cannot do it, I started thinking, if I keep trying, if I keep learning, I will find a way. That change of thinking is what made everything else possible. If you want to escape poverty, the first thing you must escape is poor thinking. Stop believing that your background controls your future. Stop believing that because you failed yesterday, you must fail tomorrow. Stop limiting yourself with excuses. Wealth is not about waiting for luck, it is about changing your thoughts and then acting on them. Train your mind to see possibilities where others see limits, to see lessons where others see failures, and to see opportunities where others see problems. Because the truth is simple: if your mind is rich, your life will become rich. But if your mind stays poor, even a fortune will eventually disappear. Courage is the foundation of wealth, because without courage nothing truly great can be built. Money does not come to the person who hesitates, it comes to the person who dares. Courage is what separates the dreamer from the doer, the person who talks about success from the one who achieves it. If you want to change your life, you must first be willing to step into the unknown. The problem with most people is that they want safety more than growth. They want to stay comfortable, to avoid risk, to never face rejection. But comfort never creates greatness, and safety never produces wealth. Every person who has built something extraordinary has done it because they chose courage over fear. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward in spite of fear. When you start something new, fear will always whisper to you, "What if you fail? What if people laugh? What if you lose everything?" A poor mindset listens to that voice and does nothing. A rich mindset feels that fear, but takes action anyway. True courage is not reckless, but it refuses to be paralyzed by uncertainty. When you dare to step forward, even if you are not ready, you give yourself the chance to grow into someone who can succeed. In my own journey, I faced rejection after rejection. I applied for 30 jobs and was rejected from all of them. I tried ideas that failed. I stood before investors who laughed at me. If I had listened to fear, I would have stopped there, but courage pushed me to keep moving. I told myself, they may not believe in me today, but one day they will see what I see. That belief did not come from money, it came from courage. Courage is what kept me standing when failure tried to knock me down. Without it, there would be no Alibaba, no story to tell. Courage is also about facing criticism. When you dare to be different, people will doubt you. They will say you are crazy, that your dream is impossible, that you should stay where it is safe. If you do not have courage, you will let their voices silence you. But if you do have courage, you will let their doubt fuel your determination. The truth is, every great success was once considered impossible. The ones who made it possible were those who had the courage to keep going when everyone else said stop. To build wealth, you must also have the courage to fail. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is the path to success. Every mistake teaches you something valuable. Every setback makes you stronger. but only if you are brave enough to face it. People who are afraid of failure never grow, and because they never grow, they never achieve. Courage allows you to look at failure not as the end, but as the beginning of a new attempt with greater wisdom. So understand this: courage is the seed from which wealth grows. If you dare to think differently, to act boldly, to rise after every fall, then success will find its way to you. But if you live your whole life running from fear, avoiding risk, and protecting your comfort, you may stay safe, but you will stay poor. Courage is the price you must pay to earn the life you want. Wealth is not built on luck, it is built on vision. Many people sit around waiting for luck to change their lives, hoping for some miracle, some sudden opportunity, or some stroke of fortune. But those who truly become successful know that luck is not a strategy. Luck may come and go, but vision creates a future. Vision means seeing opportunities where others only see problems, believing in possibilities before they are visible, and having the courage to walk a path that has not yet been created. The difference between the rich and the poor is not that the rich had better luck. It is that they had a bigger vision and the determination to follow it. When you build your life on luck, you are like a gambler. You are always hoping that the next card will be the one that changes everything. But when you build your life on vision, you are like an architect. You design, you plan, you prepare, and you build something that can stand for years. Vision is not about what you have today, it is about what you are willing to create tomorrow. People with vision are not controlled by circumstances, they create circumstances. They do not wait for the world to change in their favor, they work to change the world. When I started my journey, China had almost no internet users. Many people said to me, "Jack, this will not work here. People don't even know what the internet is." If I had depended on luck, I would have walked away. But I had a vision. I could see that one day the internet would change the way people shop, communicate, and live. Most people laughed, but vision gave me strength to continue when others saw nothing but failure. That is what vision does. It allows you to believe in tomorrow when today looks empty. Vision also gives you patience. Wealth is not made overnight, but people without vision want quick results. They want to plant a seed today and harvest tomorrow. When the harvest does not come quickly, they give up and blame bad luck. But people with vision understand that building something meaningful takes time. They are willing to wait, to endure setbacks, to keep pushing forward, because they can see the future in their minds long before it exists in reality. That patience is what turns small beginnings into great success. Another truth about vision is that it attracts people. When you have a clear and powerful vision, others will want to follow you. Investors, partners, and customers are drawn to people who can see further than the present moment. If all you have is luck, people will not trust you. But if you have vision, people will believe in you, even if you have little to start with. That belief becomes a force that multiplies your efforts and accelerates your growth. So stop waiting for luck to change your life. Stop blaming destiny, fate, or chance. Wealth is not about waiting, it is about creating. Open your eyes to possibilities. Imagine a future bigger than your present, and commit yourself to building it. Vision is the seed that turns struggle into strength, rejection into redirection, and effort into achievement. The truth is simple: luck may come once in a while, but vision will serve you every single day of your life. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is the path that leads to it. Too many people see failure as the end, as proof that they are not capable, as a sign to quit. But those who truly succeed understand that failure is nothing more than tuition. The fee you pay for the education of success. Every mistake you make teaches you something that no classroom and no book can ever teach. Every rejection, every disappointment, every setback becomes a lesson that prepares you for the future. The difference between the poor mindset and the rich mindset is simple. Poor thinking runs from failure, rich thinking learns from it. When you look closely at every successful person, you will notice one common thread: they have failed more times than others have even tried. The reason is clear: the more you attempt, the more you fail, and the more you fail, the more you learn. Each failure refines your judgment, sharpens your skills, and strengthens your resilience. Success is not built on perfection, it is built on the lessons collected from countless failures. The problem with many people is that they are so afraid of failing that they never even begin. They spend their whole lives planning, waiting, and hesitating, only to realize later that they wasted their years avoiding the very thing that could have made them strong. When I look back on my journey, failure was my greatest teacher. I was rejected from dozens of jobs, laughed at by investors, and underestimated by people around me. If I had seen those failures as the end, there would be no company, no success, no story to tell. But every time I failed, I asked myself, what is this trying to teach me? And each answer made me wiser, stronger, and more prepared for the next challenge. Without those failures, I would never have been ready for the victories that eventually came. Failure also tests your belief in yourself. Anyone can be confident when everything is going right, but true belief is shown when everything is going wrong. When failure knocks you down, you have two choices. You can either give up and confirm your fear, or you can rise again and prove your strength. Every time you choose to rise, you train yourself to handle bigger challenges. And the bigger the challenges you can handle, the greater the success you can achieve. There is another important truth about failure: it exposes your weaknesses. That may sound negative, but it is actually a gift. Without failure, you may never see the areas you need to improve. Failure shines a light on your blind spots and forces you to grow. Each mistake is a signal pointing you toward the skills you must develop, the strategies you must adjust, and the mindset you must strengthen. This is why people who embrace failure grow faster than those who avoid it. So, if you want to be successful, stop fearing failure. Stop treating it as a curse and start treating it as a teacher. Every failure carries wisdom, and that wisdom is the foundation of wealth. The more lessons you gather, the stronger you become, and the stronger you become, the closer you move towards success. Remember this: failure does not stop you, quitting does. As long as you rise after every fall, no failure is final. Poor thinking and rich thinking may look similar on the surface, but they lead to completely different lives. Poor thinking is obsessed with safety, with avoiding mistakes, with protecting comfort. It says, "Let me stay where I am, at least I will not lose." Rich thinking, on the other hand, seeks growth. It says, "Let me try, let me learn, let me grow, even if I fail along the way." The truth is, the poor mindset is not defined by how much money you have. It is defined by how you approach life. People with poor thinking are always afraid of risk, and because they are afraid, they never move forward. People with rich thinking understand that the biggest risk is to stay the same. Poor thinking is built on fear. It whispers, "What if I fail? What if people laugh at me? What if I lose everything?" And because of that fear, poor thinkers do nothing. They let opportunities pass them because they are waiting for the perfect moment. A moment that never comes. Rich thinking, on the other hand, is built on curiosity and courage. It asks, what if I succeed? What if I learn something valuable? What if this small step changes everything? And because of that courage, rich thinkers move, they act, and they grow. The truth is that safety is an illusion. No job is completely secure, no situation is permanent, and no path is guaranteed. People who cling to safety often end up disappointed because the world changes whether they are ready or not. The ones who thrive are those who constantly grow, adapt, and innovate. Growth comes with mistakes, but those mistakes prepare you for bigger opportunities. Poor thinking avoids mistakes at all costs, but rich thinking embraces them as part of the journey. Consider how many people dream of success but never start. They tell themselves they need more money, more education, more support before they can begin. This is poor thinking. It always finds a reason to wait. Rich thinking begins with what is available and builds along the way. It understands that progress creates opportunities, not the other way around. Those who think rich are not paralyzed by what they lack. They are energized by what they can create. Another key difference is how poor and rich thinking respond to failure. Poor thinking sees failure as proof of weakness. It says, "I failed, therefore I should stop." Rich thinking sees failure as feedback. It says, "I failed, therefore I must adjust, improve, and try again." That single shift in mindset is the difference between staying stuck and moving forward. If you want to build wealth, you must replace the voice of safety with the voice of growth. Instead of asking, "What if I fail?" ask, "What if I learn?" Instead of asking, "What if I lose?" ask, "What if I grow?" The future belongs to those who are willing to expand, not those who shrink. Comfort may feel safe today, but it will cost you tomorrow. Growth may feel risky today, but it will reward you tomorrow. Your destiny depends on which mindset you choose. Your mind is your greatest asset, more powerful than any money, connections, or resources you could ever possess. Everything you see in the world today, businesses, inventions, technologies, and movements, began first as a thought in someone's mind. The strength of your thoughts determines the strength of your future. If your mind is filled with fear, doubt, and excuses, your life will mirror that poverty. But if your mind is filled with vision, discipline, and determination, your life will reflect abundance. Wealth does not start in the bank, it starts in the brain. Too many people underestimate the power of their mindset. They think success is about having the right background, the right family, or the right circumstances. But history proves this wrong. The greatest success stories often come from people who had none of these advantages. What they had instead was a strong, disciplined, and creative mind. They trained themselves to think differently, to see opportunities where others saw problems, to persist where others gave up. That mindset became their ticket to success. When you treat your mind as your greatest asset, you invest in it daily. You read, you learn, you surround yourself with people who challenge you to grow. You refuse to let negative voices dictate your future. Instead, you protect your thoughts like treasure, because they are the foundation of everything you build. People with poor thinking often waste their mental energy on complaining, comparing, and doubting. People with rich thinking direct their energy toward creating, solving, and improving. That simple difference creates completely different lives. Your mind also determines how you handle challenges. When difficulties come, as they always do, a weak mind breaks, but a strong mind bends and adapts. A poor thinker sees a problem as the end. A rich thinker sees it as a lesson or a new direction. The truth is, your mind is like a muscle. The more you challenge it, the stronger it becomes. Every obstacle you face is not there to stop you, but to train your mind to be tougher, sharper, and more prepared for greater opportunities. Your mind is also the master of your habits. If you constantly think small, you will act small. If you constantly expect failure, you will behave in ways that create it. But if your thoughts are disciplined and focused on growth, your actions will follow the same pattern. This is why wealthy people often say, "Change your mindset and your life will change." It is not just a motivational phrase, it is a fact. The direction of your thoughts sets the direction of your life. So, if you want to change your future, begin by changing the way you think. Train your mind to dream bigger than your fears, to plan further than your doubts, and to work harder than your excuses. Believe in the possibility of success even when you cannot see it yet. Protect your mind from negativity and fill it with knowledge, courage, and vision. Because in the end, money can be lost. Opportunities can disappear, and circumstances can change, but the one thing that will always create wealth again is a powerful, disciplined, and determined mind.